It's really hard to sell houses nowadays. Do you know why? In my hometown, we have a 150 square meter house that's been on the market for 3 years, and no one has shown any interest. We almost sold it for over 700,000 yuan back then. The buyer even brought the money over, but my dad asked me if we should sell it. I hesitated and said no, because at that time, house prices were still going up. I thought the prices would keep rising and we could sell for more later. But then, over the past 2 years, prices have been falling, so no one is interested in our house. I also have a colleague from Wuhan whose family owns 6 houses, and they haven't been able to sell any of them either. The current market situation is indeed a worry. House prices have been steadily falling, causing many potential buyers to hesitate and remain on the sidelines. However, despite the dropping prices, many ordinary workers still cannot afford to own a home. The scariest thing now isn't the falling housing prices, but the fact that no one is interested in buying houses anymore. Can you believe it? Just this April, the list of second-hand houses skyrocketed. Many people want to sell, but as the prices keep dropping, they find they really can't sell their houses. You might not believe it, but some sales offices are struggling to pay their electricity bills. The funniest part is that some leaders and officials are making excuses. They say that the real estate market in Unsold is struggling because online videos are misleading consumers. The man in the video believes that the current lack of home buyers can be summed up in 3 words. Times are tough. This is indeed the case, as the cost of basic living expenses is quietly rising. Starting next month, ticket prices for 4 high-speed rail lines will increase. That is the Wuhan-Guangzhou section of the Beijing-Guangzhou line, Shanghai to Hangzhou section of the Shanghai-Kunming line, Hangzhou to Changsha section of the Shanghai-Kunming line, and Hangzhou to Ningbo section of the Hangzhou-Shenzhen line. The Beijing-Guangzhou line will see close to a 20% hike. It's not just high-speed rail ticket prices. Since last year, prices for food, fruits, vegetables, water, electricity, gas, subway fares, dining, and hotels have also risen across the board. This year, the reason for the significant increase in the cost of essential goods is that they are necessities. People must purchase them whether they want to or not, and thus their price hikes signal the start of a currency devaluation. This is a major concern for the public. As a result, buying a home has become even more difficult. Reports indicate that Chinese real estate companies are already trapped in a debt crisis. Thus, inventory reduction has become the most pressing issue for the Chinese Communist Party. Observers have noted that the completion of housing projects was emphasized in the Politburo meeting on April 30th. The meeting also proposed measures to address existing housing inventory and to optimize new housing policies. This is the first time that top CCP policymakers have publicly addressed the issue of housing oversupply and have proposed solutions. Analysts believe that while the CCP is hesitant to intervene in the worsening real estate crisis, such action is necessary to prevent more severe social unrest. Why is the CCP acting on the real estate sector now? Data from the China Index Academy shows that in January to February 2024, the sales performance of Chinese real estate companies plummeted. The total sales of the top 100 real estate companies dropped by 51.6% year-on-year. February's sales were 29% lower than January's. Only 14 companies achieved sales exceeding 10 billion yuan, equivalent to around 1.38 billion US dollars. That is down by 12 companies from the same period last year. Only 8 companies had sales over 5 billion yuan, which is 18 companies fewer than the previous year. The current situation is that although the central government has not announced clear policy directions, local governments are already taking measures. Shenzhen is promoting a trade-in deal. Real estate developers work with agencies to help residents sign agreements for selling old houses and buying new ones. Developers set a cancellation protection period with agencies to prioritize old house transactions. If the old house sells within the agreement period, the new house transaction proceeds. If not, the agreement is cancelled and a refund is issued. Already, 34 real estate developers and 30 brokerage agencies are taking part. Shanghai has adopted similar measures. First, buyers reach a new home purchase agreement with developers, and then agencies will prioritize the old house sale. The new home transaction is completed once the old house is sold. Zhengzhou is using both market transactions and state-owned platforms. such as Zhenzhou Urban Development Group in Henan, to buy second-hand homes. The government also provides a 30% deed tax subsidy for buying new commercial housing. However, industry insiders warn that the first batch of homeowners trying this exchange method might suffer losses. Buying a home is complex and can't be easily managed by a few agencies alone. Will they truly assess buyers' family debt ratios and create safe, reliable plans? It is unlikely. Moreover, buyers can only choose from participating properties as if it was a clearance sale. Only developments within high inventory and poor sales opt for this method to attract buyers. Popular properties are unlikely to participate. This leaves people at a disadvantage. In addition, for those selling homes and buying new ones within a set period in Zhongshan, Guangdong, there is a 2,000 yuan, equivalent to around $280, electronics voucher subsidy. In other places like Longyang, Fujian, there is a 100 yuan per square meter subsidy for buying new homes over 60 square meters and an 80 yuan per square meter subsidy for old homes over 60 square meters. In response to the central government's call, housing purchase restrictions were fully lifted in Hangzhou and Xi'an on May 9th. This sparked public debate. This signaled that the decade-long purchase restrictions was coming to a close. In 2016, Xi Jinping first mentioned that houses are for living in, not for speculation. Subsequently, housing is not for speculation became the main policy for real estate regulation. In 2017, many regions implemented strict real estate policies to limit rapid price increases. The current changes indicate that the housing is not for speculation policy has been abandoned. Despite the policy shift, many internet users are skeptical. Some say, it's useless. People thought I didn't buy a house because of restrictions, but in reality, I just don't have enough money. No matter what the authorities do, I can't afford a house. Another Guangzhou resident commented, lifting restrictions is making the general public the victims. Families with a bit more money can buy 3 houses to live in and 3 more to rent out. This way, experts can say that low-income families can increase income by renting out. Others argue that the widespread lifting of restrictions proves that houses indeed aren't selling, and the government hopes the public will step in. But everyone knows buying a house now means losing money, so they won't take the bait. To date, multiple cities in China have relaxed housing market restrictions by easing provident fund loan policies, providing purchase subsidies, and removing the lower limit on first-home mortgage rates. However, market response remains poor. Data shows that Hangzhou's residential listings continue to rise, with far more price drops than price increases. In Beijing, the new policies haven't boosted house viewing numbers by much. In cities like Xiamen, Suzhou, and Guangzhou, which previously relaxed restrictions, the market remains weak after a brief surge. Clearly, relying on easing restrictions is unrealistic. Industry experts point out that the current market lacks confidence in real estate. The impact of policy relaxation is minimal, and buyers are unmoved by these changes. Each relaxation only becomes an opportunity for them to exit the market. Chinese economist and vice president of the Chinese Private Economy Research Association, Ren Zeping, believes that the core factor restricting the current real estate market is the purchasing power and market expectations of residents. The main task at hand is to restore residents' consumption capacity and confidence. The Hong Kong Economic Times noted that the reversal of the supply-demand balance in the real estate market has caused the market to lose patience with superficial policies. Only policies that exceed people's expectations can revive the market. Some question why the policy has shifted from limiting housing prices to encouraging speculation, despite there being no significant changes in population and land resources. This conflicting policy adjustment is causing confusion and frustration to the public. Outsiders are calling for market rules to be respected and for real estate to return to its normal role in the social economy. Properties have both residential and investment attributes, and its price should be determined by the market. The government can use land supply and taxes for control, provide social housing and low-rent housing for vulnerable groups. They can also promote land appreciation through increased education and infrastructure investment, but they should not directly control prices or restrict transactions. Another serious issue is a severe backlog of real estate inventory.
来看看啊，
An internet user posted a video asking, why are they still building high-rise buildings when no one is buying them? In the video, the man mentions a friend who bought a house in a county with fewer than 100,000 residents. Yet the county had enough housing for 1 million people. Each house is over 170 square meters and priced at 500,000 yuan, equivalent to about 13.8 thousand US dollars. That is about 2,941 yuan, or 400 US dollars per square meter. He said renting such a house out at 800 yuan per month would take 52 years to recover the cost. However, platform data shows house prices have fallen, with similar properties now priced at 2,100 yuan per square meter. That's a drop of over 800 yuan per square meter. At this rate, even if the price drops to 1,000 yuan per square meter in 5 years, the house still might not sell. In the county, a 100 square meter house valued at 1,000 yuan per square meter would only be worth 170,000 yuan in 5 years. That is shocking. How many houses are there in China? In 2023, state officials disclosed in the past 3 years, the housing and urban rural development sector collected data on nearly 600 million buildings in over 800,000 municipal facilities nationwide. According to Gov't Investment Group's chief economist, Hong Hao, it will take about 2 years to clear the current inventory at the current sales rate. However, with 6 million square meters of new housing under construction, it may take over a decade to fully absorb these properties. He believes the market correction period could last for many years. Chinese scholars warn that without timely inventory reduction, many real estate developers risk bankruptcy. Local government finances are also in deficit, and if real estate can't be absorbed, fiscal revenue will be severely affected. This will lead to a vicious cycle where the land sales can't continue. Chinese social media influencer Devaluation says that the Chinese real estate market remains slow after the pandemic. Developers are struggling to sell properties and are facing the risk of capital chain breaks. If the government doesn't take action soon, more issues will emerge. Reducing inventory is also aimed at easing the fiscal burden on local governments, which rely on land sales for revenue. The introduction of new policies may be due to financial difficulties in some government departments. Moreover, the public is dissatisfied with these policies because houses are not selling. Many people's incomes have declined sharply after the pandemic, and some have lost their livelihoods. It is impossible for them to afford homes. House prices are severely disconnected from local average wages, with some areas seeing prices of 30,000 to 40,000 yuan per square meter, or even 60,000 to 70,000 yuan. However, the average monthly wages are only 3,000 to 6,000 yuan. In a scenario like this, even if housing policies are relaxed, the public will find it hard to take action. Some internet users warn that if you are still living in a high-rise building 30 years from now, you'll face significant losses. Here's why. Firstly, more and more high-rise buildings are poorly constructed, making maintenance a major issue. For instance, the exterior bricks of high-rise buildings can't stay intact for 70 years, and the paint ages and peels even faster. Elevators also won't last 70 years, and the replacement and repair costs are very high. The electrical wiring and plumbing inside the walls will also deteriorate over time, making repairs difficult and expensive. Most high-rise buildings are designed to last 50 years, but they may start showing signs of aging within 25 to 30 years. Despite homeowners paying management fees and maintenance funds, these funds are far from sufficient to cover the high maintenance costs of old high-rise buildings. When high-rise buildings age, the choice is either to repair or to demolish and rebuild, both of which come with huge costs. To cover the cost of demolition and rebuilding, developers would need to increase the floor area ratio, such as rebuilding a 30-story building into a 50 or 60-story one. But this is almost impossible in practice. Furthermore, China's population is expected to decrease significantly, leading to a drop in housing demand. The overall downturn in the real estate market will result in serious devaluation of properties. Ultimately, high-rise buildings may have no buyers 30 years from now. In fact, property devaluation is already common. According to Nikkei Asia, a salesperson from property development company Country Garden in Nanchong, Sichuan, said this 110 square meter apartment now costs only 620,000 yuan. It's a 22% reduction from the original price. If one is interested, he can negotiate the price further. Another internet user posted that a house in Shenyang, Liaoning, is currently priced at 8,300 yuan per square meter. That's 3,000 yuan cheaper. Why is it that the more house prices drop, the fewer people buy? It doesn't make sense. Didn't you say house prices were high? Now they're reduced and interest rates have gone down, but there still aren't many buyers. Why is that? It's simple. The prices haven't dropped enough yet. They haven't fallen drastically enough to reach a reasonable level. Every day, people still can't afford them, so they won't buy. Previously, when house prices were rising, it seemed like more people were buying. Those were investors. They bought because they could profit from rising prices. But now, prices have been driven sky high, and investors can't make any more money from flipping houses. When they try to cash out by selling, they find it's becoming harder and harder to sell. Regular people aren't willing to step in and buy, so even the speculators can't hold on anymore. Despite the decline in housing prices, the decrease hasn't been significant enough to motivate buyers. The mismatch between home prices and incomes means many people still can't afford to buy. The slight price drops haven't truly improved buyers' purchasing power, which is a key reason why houses remain unsold. Analysts point out that housing prices will likely continue to fall. This is mainly because fewer people will invest in property for financial gains. In recent years, real estate sales have primarily been driven by actual demand, but the number of people with this demand is decreasing. The downturn in China's economy and reduced incomes have led to lower consumption, declining real estate transactions, and increased new home inventory. Also, many people with a buy low, sell high mentality are eager to cash out their properties as prices start to drop. The increasing number of listed properties leads to greater competition and naturally lower prices. A Nanjing netizen grew up in a rural area and worked hard for 10 years to finally buy a house, but then he had to painfully sell it to pay for his mother's medical treatment. In 4 years, he lost 1.7 million yuan, equivalent to around 235,000 US dollars. He said, "Life as an adult is too difficult. From now on, I just want to live day by day and take it easy. It feels like all my efforts were meaningless. In middle age, I've been impoverished overnight. From now on, I just want to take good care of myself." The current social issues make life increasingly difficult for the middle class, who buy homes to settle into cities and start families. Housing prices have become the biggest joke played on the middle class in this era. Overall, China's real estate industry is heavily in debt, and sales are continuously declining. Numerous unfinished projects across the country are stalled. Tight liquidity and weak post-pandemic economic recovery have increased the market's difficulties. Recently, measures from the Central Politburo meetings in various cities relaxing purchase restrictions have led to a rebound in the Hang Seng Mainland Properties Index. Analysts predict that more policy details will emerge at the CCP's meeting in July. Due to regional differences in real estate policies, it's unlikely that the central government will broadly implement the purchase of surplus housing. Local governments will continue to play a key role in stimulating the real estate industry, although it is also possible that there may be significant intervention from the central government.